Welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Odd with your host, Marcus Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello there.
Right, today's one is my choice, and I picked The Vikings from 1958. You ever
Hmm.
seen it before, heard of it or anything?
No, I hadn't heard of it at all.
No, it's not shown on the TV much, but occasionally you see it. But it's one that was shown a lot when I was a kid, and I watched it when I was a kid, and I've always really enjoyed it. I find it a really engaging film. However, what did you think of it?
It was okay.
Ah,
Like,
you
it wasn't much for me.
Oh, okay. It must be a nostalgia thing for me then, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Directed by Richard Fleischer, who is it kind of interesting. He directed so many films, and some of them would be definitely in our wheelhouse. For example, among his last few films was Conan the Destroyer and Red
Oh,
Sonja, right?
okay. Yeah.
But he's not just that guy. He does all sorts. He directed Soylent Green, for
Okay.
example. He directed Tora Tora Tora, which is
Yeah,
an
just having a
amazing,
look through this. Wow, this is quite eclectic.
fantastic
20,000 Leagues
voyage.
Under the Sea.
Yeah, yeah. So many films. Um, he's quite. I mean, Kurt Douglas is in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That was maybe the first
Hmm.
time they worked together. But the Vikings, Kurt Douglas has got enough together to become a producer and enough clout in Hollywood to actually start producing his own films.
Hmm.
And the Vikings is among them. Um, okay, so didn't think too much of it.
No, it was the plot immediately got a bit convoluted and it kind of lost me there, and the rest of it was just kind of culture debates.
Yeah,
Like it's like,
yeah,
well,
there
we
was a
don't
bit of
do
that.
this in England, but we do this in among the Vikings.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of that. However, I agree about the plot. It's all over the place, and they keep crossing the North Sea like it's a river. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous how much
yeah,
crossing
yeah,
backwards. I mean, that's a 400 up to 400-mile stretch of water we're talking about, and it's
yeah.
the North Sea. It's not like a nice calm sea, but these guys just
No,
go across it backwards and forwards. They're not bothered, and it's kind of a
yeah,
bit silly from that
yeah.
perspective.
Except for the times where they refer to it as like the Death Sea.
Yeah.
And
And they
it's
are
like, okay,
scared of the sea. They are
then they're
scared.
worried.
Well, it
So
gets me that they go on about hugging the coast. It's like, yeah, but you clearly have to sail across open water for
yeah,
hundreds of miles. So yeah, okay. Um, what did you? Let's talk about the leads. Earliest Borgnine is Ragnar. What do you think of him?
I quite like Ragnar. Like
Great.
he,
Yeah.
like the problem is we're going to talk about a lot of characters who very openly like talk about how good it is to rape people. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be horrendously
Well,
frank about
yeah, but
this.
these are yeah,
None of
okay.
these are good people.
Yeah,
But
They're
I think
Vikings.
Ragnar of the main characters was my favorite.
Yeah, I
So
think it might be Ernest Borgnine's best role, actually. I think he's really good as Ragnar. Um, and then we have Kurt Douglas as Einar,
hmm.
and Tony Curtis as Eric, and Janet Leigh, whose character cannot remember her name.
Oh,
Morgana.
Morgana.
Morgana, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it does start with Ragnar raping a woman who is the queen, becomes the queen.
Yeah.
And she's with child, but then her husband gets killed in the Viking raids, and another bloke steps in called Isla, who really doesn't have a claim. But she
Yeah, they say he's like a cousin, but he
cousin,
didn't look
yeah,
like him at all. But yeah.
played by Frank Thring as a real shit heel. He does turn up in other historical epics as well,
Hmm.
but he's a particularly good shit heel king, I think. I like him. He's an Australian actor of all things. And get this, I believe he was like the MC in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome
Oh, okay.
when he got a lot older, obviously. But I think
Yeah.
that was him, right? And of course, it opens with narration by Orson Welles. Uh,
Yeah.
great speaker, telling us about the Northmen, and how much the
Yeah.
English have to put up with the Northmen. I mean, we have seen Orson Welles as a narrator before in History of War Part 1.
Yeah.
And I do remember in History of War Part 1, they take the mickey out of Vikings. They do a Viking funeral, which I think uses shots from the end of this film, where when they take all their helmets off, they still got the horns on. That was the joke.
Yeah,
That was a one scene joke in that film. Um,
yeah.
but I think they were referencing this film, and maybe it was something to do with Orson Welles being the narrator in both. I don't know.
Mm,
I also
probably.
liked Egbert, James Donald as Egbert. We've seen him before. He was Quatermass's buddy in Quatermass and the Pit.
Was
Um,
Egbert the traitor?
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. He's good. He's got good
Yeah.
presence. I like how casual he is about, they say, ah, no, if we do this, we'll drown him. And he's going, oh, I see. Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um,
I love that he just had that wide-eyed, like I'm in trouble sort of
yeah.
look at all
So, oh,
times,
God.
despite saying these things so casually.
Yes. Yeah, he knows he's knows he's on shaky ground among the Vikings, right? Um, I did like. I mean, I have to say, when I was a kid and saw this. It was all I knew about Vikings was what from this film.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome. I have to say the exteriors in Norway are amazing, and
Yeah, they do look
the
pretty good.
longboat stuff is amazing too. I was trying to work out some of it. Is that rear projection or are they really there? Because it looks like they're really there, but
I
I'm
think
not
for the
entirely.
most, I think they were pretty much always there.
Yes. So it's
Yeah.
quite a spectacular bit of scenery and
Mm.
great sets as well. I have to say the art department pulled out all the stops on the sets. I like the use of the castles. I did like how scaled back it was. Again, oh, these castles the strongest in England. It was a tiny little castle, really.
Yeah.
They got from somewhere. Um,
Like, mighty invasion force, and it's three boats.
Now, apparently, this is based on a book that is based on sort of Norse saga. Apparently, Ragnar was a real person.
Okay.
So yeah, I obviously no idea if he had a son called this or that or the other.
Yeah.
Um, I also,
As a hero king sort
yeah.
of thing. So,
All right, let's talk about what you did like, and then maybe we can talk about what you did like. What
okay.
you did, you've already
So
kind of said the
yeah,
plot and the rapiness, right?
the overall rapiness was really off-putting at all times, and how
Okay.
casually they just talk about it. It's like, yeah, it's not a proper relationship unless you scratched your face out trying to resist you.
Yeah, he
It's like,
talks about his
oh,
mother. Did how?
oh,
Yeah, what a woman. He was. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The choreography wasn't great. Admittedly, this may just sort of be a films of the time thing, but I've seen Errol Flynn films, and yeah, they could have choreographed that a lot better because a lot of it was just like a 5 minute shot, 5 minute sequence of people just kind of waving axes in the air around each
Yes.
other.
I have
Yeah,
to say there was some spectacular scenes with axes in this though. Not the
yeah. The
fights,
axe
not the
throwing was really
throwing.
good.
Yeah, it was the throwing and what they did with the axes. It was kind of clever.
Yeah,
And I don't know how they come up with all this and whether that was a real a tactic. I find it hard to believe, but it was really cool. And again, when you're a kid, it's kind of awesome
yeah.
and fun, right?
Hmm.
Um, was there anything else you didn't like? Any particular actors or scenes or?
Um, Not that I can think of
Oh, okay,
really. There's
okay.
it's kind of silly. Ian Morgana had the like a lady in waiting who
Yes,
would not shut up.
yes,
Like she would
played
not
by an
stop
actress.
talking.
Yeah, that actress is kind of famous in British TV comedy. Danny Nichols. She was. There's a character called Alf Garnett, who's kind of a notorious character in British TV, and she
Hmm.
was his long-suffering wife for years. And that's what she's best known for. So it's weird when I see her in
Okay.
this. That's what I think of because that's
Yeah.
how I know. But yeah, yeah. We've seen Lady in Waiting stuff in Disney as well, haven't we? There's like
Yeah.
Robin Hood and that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a trope, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
That's like
um, I kind of like the stuff in that. When Ilar gets crowned, the stuff in the crown, the crowning ceremony and
yeah, that was kind of
all
cool.
that stuff, and the whole pot. I like when the pommel of the special sword, which I can't remember the name
Yeah,
of.
they kept bigging up this sword, and then it turned out to be nothing.
and a pommel fell off just as the guy, which is a bad. And old Egbert says bad omen, my lord.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so there is that. But the Vikings got lucky because Egbert's happy to draw them maps, and make plans for them, and work stuff out,
Mm.
and all this. Um, let's talk about what you liked. What did you like?
I quite like the sort of dramatic dynamic of them being brothers but not knowing it.
Yeah,
Our two main characters, Eric and Einar,
yeah.
and having this like sort of rivalry, basically that just came about because Einar was being a shit heel.
Yeah, to a slave, right?
Yeah,
Um, I have to say, I really like how Eric is, though he's a slave and meant to be subservient, is a total badass all the
yeah,
time. He does not compromise. He just
nah,
stares them down. He like throws hawks in people's faces. He,
yeah.
he kind
Our
of just
introduction to
doesn't
him as an
care.
adult is like, I've got this cool bird, and Einar accuses him of stealing it. So he just chucks the bird at his face, and it scratches out his eye.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, I like all the Viking-y. I don't know. It's probably all wrong, but I just like all the Viking.
the macho,
Odin and
yeah.
the like the witch lady.
I like
You
how
know,
they were just like, oh yeah, the Vikings worship their one god, Odin.
like no,
Yeah, sure,
no, yeah.
sure, we're just gonna roll with
And they
that.
said he was a god of war. Is he a god of war? Don't
No,
remember him being
that's
a god.
Thor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Thor's
They
place.
do actually mention so at one point. If you are right,
Yeah,
if any
that,
man touch, and basically Eric gets saved because the witch lady says, if any man strikes him down, you will suffer Odin's curse. And like again,
I like do
Odin's
like.
curse.
Here's one of the things where I like Ragnar. It's like, well, we'll just chuck him out in the water. No one's
Yeah,
touched him.
the crabs,
So,
the crabs will suffer from Odin's curse, is what he said.
yeah,
Um, but the lady and Egbert, because he's seen the pommel around his
mm,
neck, he knows who he is. And no, he
yeah.
never says, does he? Never says, but he
No,
knows who he is, and he goes. So he's kind of
but you
concerned, and he
probably
thinks he
should.
could use him. And he actually says, "I just want to go out and see the." He goes, "Ah, watch this," and they pin up a woman,
Who's accused
braids
of cheating? Yeah,
cheated by her husband. And like the rules are this, if the braids are cut, she's faithful. If it hits her in the face or whatever, she's a
yeah,
liar. And if their husband misses 3 times, he's wrongly accused her and they drown him. What a world that is, man.
yeah.
And what I was trying to figure out was she the woman we first see with Kirk Douglas? Because we get the briefest scene of him kissing a woman when his dad turns up and he just runs out. And I was trying to, is that the same woman? Because she looks similar, but I couldn't work it out.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
I I didn't even notice. So
Yeah, I wasn't sure. But yeah, we get a rag. Basically, they old Ayala accuses egg. 20 years have moved on.
yeah,
So
20 years have moved
yeah,
on, so
so we
they've
have the baby gets born, who's the
and
product
shipped
of
off
the
to Italy.
Ragnar's rape of the
Yeah,
queen. The queen dies. The baby gets shipped off to monks who don't know who he is for safety. But the Vikings, we find out, capture it, and he becomes a slave. But they leave the pommel around his neck, um,
yeah.
and
They have a
he's
weird thing of like, oh, it's his only possession, so we'll let him have it.
we'll let him have it. So
But the
yeah,
slave can have some things as a treat, I
yeah,
guess.
I like the fact that Ragnar was like, yeah, okay, for a thing, we can't let him live. He goes, yeah, but he was a good slave. Just kill him quick.
Yeah,
And then it's like, no, you will suffer Odin's curse. She was great, that woman. I liked her.
yeah,
She's like the plot driver for the MacGuffin, really.
yeah,
Why would they let Eric live? And um, old Egbert actually asks Ragnar, what happens if he survives? He goes, oh, anyone who fishes it out can have him. Uh,
yeah,
which Egbert goes and does
yeah.
when the winds change and the Valkyries turn up and all
Yeah, there's a
that.
weird thing that just kind of confirms the Vikings' religion is right. Where they hear like the singing of women and storm clouds blow the tides away.
Really fast
And
storm
and
clouds.
it's like they're just like, oh yeah, the Valkyries just came and did that. It's like, we're just
Odin's
skipping over that,
handmaidens.
are we?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just gonna skim that.
And
Right,
so
okay.
Egbert said, right, because it's the water's obviously freezing. This is the North Sea, right?
Yeah.
So he's saying, I can't feel my legs. And he goes, hold on, Eric, hold on.
You got
And
to keep moving your
the
legs.
wind turns back and they immediately start fishing him out. And then um, the wind also blows open the doors of the hall where they're all drinking. And Einar, like, and he goes out
Yeah,
and he sees him and he goes, no. And he tries to sort of intervene. And Egbert's like, you would break the word of your father? Who said,
yeah,
whether this is-" and Einar's like, he can wait, he can wait, all
yeah,
that. But yeah, and then we get a lot of back and forth across the North Sea. I mean, a ridiculous.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like Egbert manages to get his escape, doesn't he? And they go pick him up, and he said he's going to draw maps. Einar's antagonistic towards him at first, and he keeps doing things. And Ragnar's like, "Do you want the English to think we're barbarians?" And
Yeah.
at one point, Ragnar and Egbert are talking, and Ragnar's like, what do you do with traitors then? What's your punishment for whatever?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, what we do is they get thrown into a pit of starved wolves or dogs, to be torn to pieces." And Ragnar's like, "See, I told you the English were civilized." Uh, there's all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so Eric, he's got a friend, and I can't remember his name, but he's deaf and dumb. He's a black fella. What's his name in the character's name in this?
Oh,
Uh,
Sandpiper.
Sandpiper, that's it. And but they also the witch shows them she's got this like a shark medallion that always
Yeah,
points
they
to the
use
north
as
star.
a
So obviously a compass. And they do make the
yeah,
point at the beginning. This was before compasses, so they could only use the stars and the
mm,
sun as a guide, right? Um,
yeah,
so they could cross vast distances on clear nights. It's the fog that they were terrified of, really, right?
yeah.
But Eric and so on, and Egbert, does Egbert go with them? No, he doesn't. No, but they start to chase him as he's escaping. But Ragnar's boat gets sunk. But
Mm,
Eric fishes him out and takes Ragnar back to England. Right? He
yeah,
basically wants the Princess Morgana, right?
yeah.
Morgana, and he rescues her. Oh, I haven't even talked about all this.
We forgot
Yeah.
the raid on Morgana's
Right,
ship.
yeah, they raid Morgana ship because Egbert lets them know, right? And he says
Yeah.
it's near Wales. He goes, what's in what? And Ragnar's like, what's in Wales? It's a slag heap. Oh no, but we got the treasures of so and so, and they talk
Yeah.
about how much money they'll get for this princess, don't we? And they manage to capture her and her handlady, and take them back to the fjords.
Mm,
And then old Einar takes a shine to her, but so does Eric. But Eric's
yeah.
obviously, much less rapey.
Yes, significantly
Right?
less rapey.
Yes. Uh,
There's even a bit where Einar goes up to her and basically insists that she fight back as he tries to rape
yeah,
her.
and he gets
And
mad
she
when
basically goes, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction.
which really annoys him. But then Eric turns up and just swats him, just
Yeah. Just brains
knocks him
him,
out.
takes her, and then flees across the North Sea
Which
as he
is where
casually did.
the chase starts, and he managed to get Ragnar out of the sea too. All the
Yeah.
Vikings think Ragnar's at the bottom of the thing, and also they've gone off in the fog, and the
Yeah.
Vikings are
They've
like,
got lost in the
we're not
fog.
following, and they think, oh, Ragnar's at the bottom of the fjord, and they're all across. Uh, Meanwhile, Eric's talking to Morgana, and they're obviously falling in love.
Mm.
She's saying, I want. There's actually a really good scene with them. I really like the dialogue where she goes, "We cannot be together. You have a pagan soul, I have a Christian soul," and he's like, "If you're happy," and he. And I think he holds her hand. She goes, "This is just flesh touching flesh," or something like that.
Yeah.
And she says, he says something quite profound. He says, "If you're happy with your Christian soul, and I'm happy with my pagan soul. Why not let flesh be flesh or something like
Mm.
that?" It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So there's a relationship there, but he does it really. Eric's super honourable as well. He says, "I
Yeah.
will
They play
persuade the
us like,
king." Instead of just
yeah.
running off with her, he's like, "I will persuade the king." She goes, she says to him, "What's the worst thing you could do to happen to a Viking?" He goes to die without a
Die
sword
without a
in
sword in his
hand,
hand.
and you
Yeah.
cannot. He goes, "Me breaking my vow would be that bad," which makes him understand how important it is to her. So he goes, "Okay, we'll go
Mm.
back. I will ask. I will persuade him somehow to have you, and all that."
Yeah.
Anyway, they get back to Aella, who's grateful they've got Ragnar, but then Eric just asks. He's really blunt, isn't he, Eric? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, I want you to free her of a vow, a promise.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's ridiculous. Then he's all
Yeah.
serious and goes, do you want to have your vow renounced, lady? And she doesn't really answer. And-
She does. She does answer straight away, and he goes, "Clearly, something's up with her. Have her spend the
oh
night in the
yeah,
chapel praying on
chapel
it."
praying, yeah.
It's like,
And we have a priest. Also, the priest is quite cool. The priest involved is the priest when he was younger that the queen told she had Ragnar's child, right? She
yeah,
she was with Ragnar's child, so he knows what's going on, right? And he knows
yeah,
the baby had the pommel as well, but he doesn't know much else other than that. Um,
mm,
but at some point, he sees the pommel and he explains it all to Morgana, doesn't? So she
yeah,
knows that he's also Ragnar's son and also the heir to the throne. I guess I can't
yeah.
quite work out because when the king isn't the father, it's not really an heir, is it? You know.
Nah,
But so that all comes to light, and Morgana knows about it.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Ragnar's they're gonna throw him to the dogs, but he hasn't got a sword, and he looks at Eric. Oh, and Ragnar Einar, sorry, Ayala gives
There's a
Eric.
lot of similar names.
Yeah, Ayala gives the swords to Eric. Says, "You bought him, you push him in." So he starts prodding Ragnar towards the sword, and Ragnar's like, "Give me a sword. I'm a
Yeah,
Viking." And Eric's like, he can't die without a sword. And the king's like,
yeah. So
push
he
you in.
cuts his bonds and then
He gives it.
gives him the
And
sword.
stands in front of him. Could easily
Yeah,
just get stabbed through their heart or something, right?
yeah,
But Ragnar and Eric are honorable. All right.
yeah.
Ragnar just
I,
jumps into the pit.
yeah,
Um, and well, in that sense, right? In that sense.
yeah,
But the king's like, well, and he's and like old Janet Lee's Royal Morgana's like, he kept his word, and all this, and and then he says, no slave can defy. He goes, if a slave can defy a king and capture Ragnar, he's more dangerous to England than Ragnar was. And he's about to kill Eric or get Eric killed,
Mm,
um,
she
Morgana's
steps
like,
in. So,
I won't renounce my vows if you let him live. And he's like, okay, but the hand that defied me, basically chops
yeah,
off. There's a lot of body damage. There's faces
yeah,
getting ripped off by Hulks. There's a hand chopped off. Eric gets his hand chopped off. Right, one
yeah.
hand chopped, and they cast him out back to sea, I think. Or he just
Well,
escapes
they
out.
kind of just chuck him out, and he goes back to the Vikings.
Vikings. He just goes back. Um,
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Aldinar's trying to get. He says he's the reason Ragnar is at the bottom of the
Ragnar is dead at
fjord.
the
We
fjord.
made to
Yeah,
go and get Morgana, and like one of the Vikings is like, fairly senior lieutenant, obviously. Sort of
yeah,
like, is this about Morgana or Ragnar? You know,
yeah.
and like, hardly anyone will go with it. And he says, and he goes out and he
We
says,
just don't have
Odin,
the
give me a
people. So,
sign. He goes, Odin, give me a sign. Turns around, Eric's standing there like a badass,
yeah,
just standing there. And he
menacingly.
explains what's happened. And old Einar takes him back into the halls and sort of tells them, he says,
Mm,
this is a sign from Odin. He knows where they are. He knows where the king is. He knows the man, who got Ragnar killed, and all of that. And then they're all like, "Hey!" And he makes a point. He says, "I hate this slave more than any man, but he will deliver us this."
mm.
So there's no promises made. There's no like, if you help us, I won't kill you. None of that.
Nah, they're
Eric
just up
doesn't
front.
even care, right? Eric doesn't even care. That's the thing.
Nah, he's
He's
just like,
got
we're just gonna kill him. We're just gonna
yeah.
kill this guy.
Yeah, we're
and
gonna
then
kill
all
the
bets
king.
are off.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I just like how little dialogue they. I mean, it's almost like a man with no name character, right? He's got so little
yeah,
dialogue, and the dialogue
there
he has
are
is really.
very long stretches of this film where there's just no dialogue. It's
There's
just like
massive battles.
grandiose music and
Yeah,
battles and whatnot.
yeah,
It just goes on for ages. No, not a single word.
and also, Eric, how will we get to the? They'll know we're coming and all this. Eric's like, no, we're going straight across the sea. I can
Yeah,
guide you, and they're like, okay. And he and his mate Sandpiper kind of secretly gets the north, right?
yeah,
So and so that he can guide them all, so they can go straight there. And they turn up, and they as they jump off their ships, they're carrying these massive wheels, and I was thinking, what? Well, I know why, but it was like it's a bit weird they kept just carrying wheels, but then they
yeah,
they basically chopped down a massive tree and converted it into a battering ram, right? A massive
yeah,
battering ram, and dragging this across the country towards the castle. Meanwhile, the castle's preparing. Bit lackluster this castle, but however, I really
yeah,
quite liked all the battle stuff. I know it was a bit uncoordinated and like
yeah.
haphazard, but I kind of liked it because they immediately take out the first battlement with the battering ram, right? They
Mm,
smash through that door and they're in, right? And the
yeah,
British, all they're doing is like, hand to hand, they're kind of losing. All they've got is like bows, right? And they can and high
yeah,
ground. That's what they got. And the
yeah,
Vikings are then through the first battle. And they've got to get through the second. And this is where the cool axe stuff comes in. When we were talking about, they
yeah,
basically start throwing axes at the one drawbridge to almost like make a ladder of axes.
yeah.
Um,
And they have this like neat tactic of like it's an English tactic, but they have like longbowmen pop up, fire arrows, so someone could run up and chuck the axe,
yeah,
and they do it in sort
provided.
of rank and shoot sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like covering fire, right? Covering fire.
Yeah,
But some of them get taken out as they're trying to do the axe. But essentially,
yeah.
they get one set of axes up the thing, which Kirk Douglas,
Oh,
I
there,
know, just as a
yeah.
jumps at, and that was
There was
really,
a bit I will say where you see like three axe throwers in a row get shot, and they all have the same stock scream.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Like the
true.
exact same sound. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, come on. You could have
yeah.
recorded another scream
A
there,
different
man.
screen, yeah, yeah. But it's pretty muscular this film, you know. And we do see
Yeah,
Kirk Douglas launch himself at this thing and start climbing up, while axes are falling out of the, you know, because not all of them are embedded well. And he's
yeah,
scrambling up while people are trying to throw rocks and stuff at him.
yeah,
But he managed to get up, and luckily there's a switch, you know, a lever just inside he can pull it and open it. And he
yeah,
immediately runs into it. He hasn't even got a weapon. Did you notice that?
yeah.
He
No,
didn't
he just
even.
runs at
He
them.
just runs it. And Tony Curtis is second. He don't
Yeah,
care. He's using his other hand, right?
yeah,
And then all the Vikings are in and they're in. Um,
yeah,
Meanwhile, they kind of figure out where. Oh, there is some chat earlier where Egbert says to, have you still got that sword pommel around your neck?
yeah.
Eric says it was taken from me. He goes, just as well. That's what he says.
Like,
Probably a good thing.
yeah.
It doesn't comment on it at all.
Yeah, that probably solves a lot of arguing, just losing that.
Yeah, so
So,
there's quite a lot of shots of Ilar, the King Ilar, looking very worried, looking for a sort of slit in the castle wall.
yeah,
Um, the progress of the Vikings. It made me laugh because there was him and two other blokes. It was like watching the Three Stooges. Watching um, um,
yeah,
Morgana's been taken up to the chapel and with the priest, who explains all about the pommel. She
yeah,
must. Oh yeah, Eric gives her the pommel as a
yes.
gift, right? And that's when the priest sees it and he explains it all to her, so she
Mm,
knows they're half brothers, and you know all of this sort of stuff.
mm,
Uh, Kirk Douglas does not care. The whole battle's going on. He figures he knows where Morgana is. Gets a grappling iron and rope, and we
yeah,
get him looking like he really does know how to use a grappling iron.
yeah.
Um, and he uses it and throws it up, and then starts climbing up. And then they're praying in the chapel, and he just swings through the window.
He
Right?
swings through the window, and I think this bit has one of the most the funniest bits of delivery in this. where he basically sounds tired that he's going to have to assault her. He's like, yeah, let's do what comes now."
Yeah, well,
It's
he
like,
says,
okay.
"Yeah, you do love me. You will love me." She says, "No, I hate you. It's Eric I love." And then she starts explaining, "Eric is your half brother. He's
And
Ragnar's son
he
as
just
well."
ignores her.
And he's like, and she says, "I hate you." He goes, "Well, if I can't have your love, I'll have your hate." And so he takes her up to the roof and starts calling. Goes, "Eric," and shows her he's got the Eric like
Eric, in
immediately.
this time, had found Ayala and
Oh
pushed him
yeah,
into his
I,
wolf pit.
I forgot on that.
So
Eric sorted out Ayala, and that was cool, right? That was a nice,
yeah,
satisfying, sort of cathartic moment. Um,
yeah,
so he's like, he immediately starts running up towards him, and Einar's like, look at him running to his death. Under all
yeah,
of this, and Janet Leigh's like, "All right, try." Anyway, they start having a massive sword fight on like stone, on like stairways,
steps. Yeah,
steps, hard rock steps, and falling down them and running up them. It
yeah, they're
must have been
tumbling about.
exhausting, and I mean, it must have. Whoever the stuntmen were, they must have got properly bruised up when, especially when
Yeah,
they're falling down them steps. They look hard as hell. I don't, and it was all shot exteriors, wasn't it? It all looked like exterior shots to
yeah,
me.
that was
That was a
that was quite wild.
yeah. To just keep the lighting matching alone must have
Yeah,
been a nightmare. Never mind about the coordinating the stunt work. And they're fighting and fighting, and then essentially, Einar breaks Eric's sword, and they look at each other, and basically Eric knows that means he's going to die.
yeah,
They both know it, and they're just looking at each other. And Einar raises his sword, but he hesitates. I think the brother message got through, or he's thinking
yeah.
about him. But Eric, don't give Eric a
Just
chance. He
fucking steps.
just stabs him with the blunt sword, the broken sword.
Yeah,
And he's like, why did he hesitate? No explanation. And uh, basically, Einar's struggling on the floor, but he can't talk. He starts grasping towards a sword, and Eric understands what's needed,
yeah.
and he hands him a sword. Again, stands right in front of him, could be stabbed, doesn't care. Eric's just such a badass, and he understands Vikings. I think
Yeah,
is what it is the message. And um, Einar stands up one last time, and goes, "Oh, and then collapses and dies, falls down the
mm,
stairs again. And all the other Vikings, and Eric, he's a slave. He's got to remember he's a slave to these
yeah.
Vikings.
This guy's a
Just
slave.
all these other Vikings turn up, and he goes, prepare a Viking's funeral.
Yeah,
And they just follow his orders. He's got the Ragnar touch, right? I guess.
yeah,
Um, and then we see an awesome Viking funeral, don't we? The
yeah.
longbow go out with
With
shot
a
arrows going.
grandiose score going nuts in the
Oh yeah,
background.
Skull was cool. Yeah, there was a lot of use of horns in the fjords in this, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, so that's how it is. There's also some other fun stuff going for it. There's like, for example, there's a scene not needed, but it's a fun scene where they're as they're coming into the fjord, into the village, they're jumping along the oars and falling
Mm,
in the water and stuff like that. That
yeah.
was totally a
Yep.
not needed touch, but it was cool, wasn't it? It was kind of
Yeah.
but yeah, I like this film way more than you, clearly, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I find it quite engaging as a film. I find it's not baggy. I understand the North Sea appears like a river, and that's silly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like they got speedboats or something. Um,
Yeah.
but otherwise, I really enjoyed this film. Yeah.
Mm,
Hmm.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I made myself fairly clear on what my
Yeah.
opinions on it so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Shall we wind out there then?
Yeah.
Well, let's rate it. What would you rate this?
I'd rate this as six or so.
Yeah. One thing of interest is Tony Curtis and Kirk Douglas went on to make another really massive historical epic together, which was Spartacus,
Mm,
made in 1960. Directed somewhat half of it or a bit of it by Anthony Mann, who was really famous for directing westerns with James Stewart, really epic, stunning looking westerns. But get this,
mm,
the other half or the remainder, or most of it probably, was Stanley Kubrick.
Oh wow.
Right. So early Stanley Kubrick, for his
Mm.
first epic, as it were.
Okay.
Um, so that's a really interesting film too. So they went on to do that, and it was apparently it came about because Kirk Douglas was really pushing hard to be the lead in Ben-Hur, but when Charlton Heston got it, he got
Mm.
really salty and decided he wanted to do his own sort of
Well,
Roman
I'm gonna
epic.
do my own grandiose
But
epic.
Spartacus is an amazing film, but it is quite
Mm.
long. I would nearly picked it, but I felt that this might be a good one as well. I'm kind of in the mood for that, so I might be picking epic-y kind of stuff for the next
Okay.
few goes. And that doesn't
Yeah.
include not just Roman, but I just mean
Yeah.
it might be war films or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Grandiosity.
I'm gonna be at the more B.
Mm.
This is a glorified B movie in essence, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and I'm gonna be more the B movie side of the epics rather than the sort of A list kind of epics.
Mm.
So no Bridge on the River Kwai or Doctor Zhivago or Lawrence of Arabia. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about the other slightly skeevier side of it
Mm.
because they're kind of more fun. Okay, cool. I would give this 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Straight 9 out of 10. It's real close to being a 10 out of 10, but it's not it's not perfect. There's a few issues. The North Sea back and forth is a bit of nonsense. I think Tony Curtis' character is really interesting in this because he has so little dialogue, and he is meant to be a slave, but he just takes no shit from no one, really. There's one point where Einar punches him down and he does nothing. But apart from that, he's kind of, you know, he never says it, but he's a real fuck about and find out kind of guy, right?
Mm.
That's what I felt.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed this greatly. I thought you'd enjoy it more, I can't be honest. But yeah,
Mm.
such is life. And I understand the modern sensibilities, young for younger people, it's going to be a really problematic film in many ways.
Yeah.
But I grew up with it, so I've kind of, I guess you ignore that sort of thing, or you don't really understand it when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it is. And there may be, so if we're watching like stuff from the 50s and 60s, we might see
Yeah.
other things like that. I don't know. I just can't remember. That's the thing because it didn't
Yeah.
register that much to me, I guess. But yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, let's wind up there. So bye from me.
Bye.